Hello and welcome to this video presentation. My name is Paul Brett. I'm a Senior Software Support Analyst supporting the Transformation Extender product from IBM. The topic for this video is Integrating ITX 10.1 with Solace JMS. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. For the purposes of my demonstration, I pre-downloaded the software I would need from solace.com. You can use the instructions at the link on the screen to download the software for yourself. You will also see a couple of the Docker commands that I've used to load and run the Docker instance. Finally, at the bottom of the screen, I have summarized the rule that I've used in my ITX map to put a message, Hello World, onto a JMS queue. Here we have my text connection to my Linux box, and as you can see I'm currently signed in as root and in the downloads directory. In my downloads directory I have the tar.gz file that I downloaded from solace.com. My Docker images command shows that I currently do not have a Docker image called Solace. And I also do not have a Docker instance called Solace. So let's fire up the command now to create a Docker image and instantiate a Docker instance. Here is the command to load the image. I will paste that into my command line now. The image is now loaded, and if we do the Docker images command, you can see that we have one image called Solace PubSub Standard. Next, I will use the appropriate command to instantiate a Docker instance. That's the instance created, so now it should be running. With my docker ps command, we can see that we have one container that is currently up and running, has been up for 7 seconds there. And if we was to fire up our web browser, we could see that we can connect to that system. I've now connected to my virtual Windows box, where I'm going to fire up the web browser and connect to the Solace instance running on my Linux box in a Docker. The default login is admin, and as you can see it has been successfully installed and is running perfectly. I'm going to click on Message VPNs, click on the up keyword of local state, then click on Queues. You will note I have no physical queues created, so I'm going to create one now. The queue name is QA and apply. So now we have a queue called QA. Now I'm going to go into the JMS JNDI section and click on queues, and I'm going to add a JMS queue. This is the queue to which ITX 10.1 will connect. So the queue name is going to be called JqueueA, and the physical queue that maps to is QA. So I've just put a capital J on the front there of the name. That's going to be my naming convention from here forward. Okay, now we have our queue. Let's have a quick look at connection factories. You will note that the default connection factory is /JMS/CF/default. We'll need that later on when we come to create our rule. But for now I'm just going to go back to the queues section, click on QA, and you'll note there are no messages queued. I'm going to go into the messages queued section, and when messages do get queued they will appear here. We'll come back to this window momentarily. So let's fire up our Design Studio now. I'm going to fire up ITX Design Studio 10.1. And as you can see I have a project called Solace JMS here. Let's open the map and have a quick look at it. The map has a single output card. The target of that output card is a file, and it is output.txt. The rule itself uses a simple put to the JMS adapter, and my connection string includes the following elements. ICTXFURL, initial context factory URL. So we have TCP, we have an IP address which is pointing to our Linux box where the ports for the Docker have been exposed externally. We have our initial connection factory, which is com.solacesystems.jndi.sol.jndi initial context factory. Next we have our connection factory name, which is what we got from the connection factory screen in the web browser, /JMS/CF/default. We have our username and our password, both set to admin. We have our queue name, which is JqueueA. We have a -TT to indicate that we are sending a text type, and finally a -T to turn on the adapter trace. The data we're sending in is hello world. So if I build and run this map, the map has completed successfully. If we have a look in the miscellaneous section and open the output.txt, you will note that we have an error message which has been captured by that last part of the rule, last error message. It says adapter not found. So what does this mean? Basically, if we would go through the JNI layer log, it would indicate that a driver could not be found for Solace JMS. The next thing we need to do is to copy those required jar files into our ITX 10.1 ext jar directory. You will see on screen where I've downloaded the software required, and in the lib subdirectory there are a lot of jar files that we need. So I'm going to take a copy of the path location here, and then I'm going to change to my IBM Transformation Extender 10.1 ext jar directory, where you'll see I've got a couple of jars already, but we're going to add all those other ones from Solace. I'm going to drop to a command prompt and copy star.jar from that directory. So all those jar files have been copied into the ext jar directory now. There they all are, and in theory my map should work. However, I will need to restart the Design Studio for that to work. I'm going to run my map, and as you can see the map has completed successfully, and on output you can see no text at all. That's good because the put wouldn't create anything for the map to actually put into the file, but the last error message function has not created anything either. And if we go back to our web console and refresh this screen, you will note that I now have a single message queued with a content of 12 bytes. That's my hello world exclamation mark. So there we have it, a short summary of installing Solace JMS in Docker and then using IBM Transformation Extender 10.1 to put a message to a JMS queue. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video presentation today. If you found the content interesting and informative, please hit that like button. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, as I release content such as this on a regular basis. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. Thank you.